If you're not afraid of the unknown, if you've found a friend in fear, then we have a friend for you.
Hi.
Samantha.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello.
This week, we're discussing the horror science fiction classic, Deadly Friend, directed by Wes Craven, with Christy Swanson and that dude from Little House on the Prairie. What was his character's name? Gilbert?
It wasn't Gilbert. It's like Who's Eating Gilbert? It was was it Alfonso? What the was his name on Little House on the Prairie? It's some stupid thing.
We can look it up. He was late model Little House, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
He was not an
Whenever
early...
you start throwing babies and pets, I remember Gilmore Girls jumped the shark big time when all of a sudden there was a dog named Paul Anka that showed up, and every episode is now
Paul Anka.
named after Paul Anka. And Paul Anka did like a cameo at some point.
I'm sure he did. He's available.
He's available. Oh my
Sweet
god! Then I was
Jesus.
like, "Oh, really? Is this
Yeah.
the new Oliver?" In case
It
you don't know,
is.
that is
Cousin Oliver.
Cousin
Brady Bunch.
Oliver, Brady Bunch, freak out. Yeah.
So good times.
And
Each
then
week-
wasn't it? Is this the kid that was really Melissa Gilbert's brother? Or
No. That's a different.
oh,
kid.
this is Nellie's little brother. They start
I
throwing babies at everybody after a while.
I think that's right. I believe that's correct. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures, forgotten classics of the horror sci-fi genre, with its
Which
comedic
this
twist.
is neither a guilty pleasure nor forgotten classic. Just file it under forgotten
Well, the reason
until someone remembered.
Until someone remembered, no question. The reason why I added this to our list, I remember seeing this when it was out. Not in the theaters, obviously. This is like you're flipping channels and it happens to be on HBO at 3 a.m. or something. But it was also on like the 100 greatest scares or shocking movie moments, whatever, one of those things.
That's
And
ridiculous. Also,
specifically, it's the moment where Christy Swanson takes the basketball and blows up Throw Mama from the Train's head.
that's the best part of the whole movie, but not worth watching the rest of the movie for. It was very Argento, I thought.
It was kind of shocking. You're like, whoa, this took a turn.
Finally, something's happening.
Before we started recording, I was regaling you. I was on a podcast yesterday, in fact, our good friend, the Film Effect podcast, and he had a bunch of us on to discuss the Child's Play.
How could he be a good
franchise.
friend if he's going to subject you to not 8 hours, 8 movies? So what, 16 hours, 20 hours of child play?
Oh,
I call that my worst enemy.
It was 8. Yes, it was 8 films, and he also initially wanted
films,
8 movies.
or are they direct-to-video?
Cinematic masterpieces. He also wanted us to watch 3 seasons of the Chucky series on the Sci-Fi Network, and we openly revolted against that idea. We said we're not going to do that.
Chucky series on the Sci-Fi Network. That's all.
3 series, 3 seasons of it's Chucky. Good
Sci-Fi
grief.
got nothing else to put up there. Of course, there's 3 series. I'm surprised there's only 3 series.
Anywho,
Chucky versus Sharknado. Maybe that's something I can get behind.
why not? Sharktopus versus
I want to see
Mecha
Chucky riding on a shark flying out of a tornado, holding like a cowboy hat, like Dr. Strangelove.
Is that too much to ask?
Is that too much to ask? I mean,
Indeed,
come on.
indeed.
These are the ideas we need Hollywood or
I'm
Sci-Fi
telling you.
Network.
Or
Is that Hollywood or is that like Pomona, Ontario? I don't know.
could be. Who's to
Bravo.
say? San Bernardino.
San
Yeah.
Bernardino.
What was interesting is I'd only seen the first one. You and I had discussed the first one on our show.
And I felt like that was enough.
That was enough. Well, and I had never seen the other ones in my life. I'd seen them come and go. And we'd done these kind of, we call them megapods in the past. We talked about the Friday the 13th franchise. We talked about the Halloween franchise, and it's getting rough. It's rough around the edges, to say the least. Good grief. So
That's a
such
young
is
man
life.
games friend. That should be set aside for 15 years old who've been up all night drinking Red Bull and peeing in soda bottles, and then at the end of an extended D&D game, then they roll
Yep.
into this 20-hour montage of all the child play.
No question. Well, it's funny because like we essentially had to binge these movies over the course of 2 weeks. So every time Becky walked into the room, she's like, "How long is this goddamn movie?" Because it's
You're like, it's 20 hours. It's not a movie, it's a lifestyle.
it's a lifestyle. It's like that movie Boyhood. Remember, where you just keep coming back to the same kid every couple of years? That was me watching the Child's Play movies.
No, because
Very
I did
upsetting.
not watch that. That sounded also terrible.
Such is life. Such
Unless
is
there was a
life.
cult involved, then I would have rolled back into that.
There was the Cult of Chucky, which was part 7 of the film.
What if the cult of Chucky merges with the cult from Halloween? What was that one?
The Cult of Thorn.
The Cult of Thorn. At least that had kind of a rock and roll name.
It did.
That sounds
It did.
like a wannabe metal band that was headed for Eurovision.
Could be.
No.
But let me tell you this: if you have not seen The Seed of Chucky, there are extended scenes of Chucky. There are scenes of Chucky having sex. There are scenes of Chucky masturbating. It's
I am
all sorts of
vomiting.
craziness.
I am literally vomiting
Yes.
at this point.
Yes.
I hope when the baby is born, we have an up close like those films they used to show you in sex ed. I want to see the bride crowning and a little doll emerging from the cervix.
It was pretty goddamn close. Let me tell you.
That sounds disgusting.
It's
I
horrifying.
don't want to watch doll porn. I'm sure there's a whole subgenre.
There's a whole,
out there
just
that
don't
I don't
Google
need
it.
to know about.
Don't
I'm
Google
going on
it.
the 4chan right now.
Do not. Sweet Jesus. Shall we?
A seed, masturbate.
Yes, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. John Waters was in it as well. Just to let you know, it's that kind of.
I
it's just
like
that
John
kind of party.
Waters, but I think I would like to sit next to him and have a cocktail and just let him regale me with tales.
As opposed to watching his movies? Is that what you're saying?
I like his movies.
Pink
Chucky
Flamingos?
is not his. Well, I never actually saw that, but I did buy it and I gave it to Rob one year.
Yes, we watched it one year and I had to leave. I'm like, I'm out. This is a bridge too far.
No, I never watched that, but I've watched several of his other ones, and I read one of his books.
Shall we talk about this film? Why don't you give us your 30-second synopsis of Deadly Friend?
Well, as Elon Musk has told us, and as we have learned since films were invented, beware of AI. Beware of AI. And what really, let me just tell you, this film is young Sheldon gone wrong.
Absolutely.
So I assume with a different director, this is what would have eventually happened to Penny.
Well, again, Sheldon is not with Penny.
No, Sheldon is not with Penny because he hadn't developed the microchip or had any interest in sex with women.
That's true. He would have done this to Blossom at that point by the end of the series. Right?
He didn't need to do it with Blossom. This is a much darker Sheldon.
Sad but true. Sad but true.
I mean, what the hell? This movie reeked. It just reeked.
I remember watching this as a child going, oh my God, that poor boy. His only chance for happiness has been struck down. And there was a part of me like, oh, that's so sad. When she falls down the stair, and I'm like, oh. It's very self-centered. It's like, it's not about her life. It's about her the fact that this loser finally gets a girl and gives him the time of day. And she falls down the stairs. He's the ultimate incel. Very upsetting. So
I mean, that's what you get. That's what you get. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. I mean, yeah. I mean, first of all, this is maybe. It may be, because I might be understepping this. Wes Craven's worst film, although he has had many stinklers. I want to say that it just makes no goddamn sense. The family moves into a mansion, which is clearly the Warner Brothers backlot. They've made no effort to spend $3 to even make it look different than anything you'd see on the studio tour. Mom's just the layabout, and their child just does whatever he wants. You have the wife beater next door, but it was another time where you just didn't interfere with families, even if the drunken alcoholic dad is beating their daughter and throwing her down the stairs.
Well, first of all, this is not true. The mom is not a layabout until she's drugged for apparently no reason. The son drugs the mom. We have to talk about that. Almost kills her.
So this university just has mansions laying around waiting for their Sheldons to show up.
100%. 100%. Sweet Jesus.
We've established that he is a 10th grader by age, but a university student with no supervision, who builds a robot that as a friend who sounds like Yoda, but also like a cross between the old what was that other fake sci-fi series with Gil Gerard that had another
Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers, the series. It was Beady Beady Bee. It was a direct rip off of that. It was Beady Beady Bee unless it spoke, and then it was Yoda. But basically what it comes down to, you give anything a chip, it will turn evil.
Well, it was the crazy robot. I kept thinking, so yeah, he comes to town because he's attending the university. His mom's got a job, blah, blah, blah. And they already have the robot built, which is kind of a low rent, like Johnny Five from Short Circuit in a way. Kind of flopping
it is
around.
The size of a house. It is the most gigantic thing you've ever seen in the world.
And it's called BB. BB. Do you think that's where they got BB-8 from for the new Star Wars
100%. Where's the lawsuit?
Where's 100%. The lawsuit? And you're right. It would constantly make noises for no reason. It was more like...
I'd be yelling at myself, shut that damn thing up. I'm trying to sleep.
It's
Can
like
you
a Furby.
Unplug that goddamn thing?
It would just babble. It would just freaking babble. Right. It was...
Until it became a killbot.
It was, which is, it's just, something happens. Something happens. This movie is madness. I watch it. I've got the TV settings set to kind of make it look like it's almost like an after school special. Every movie I watch, like it's a very special episode of One Life to Live or something like that. I don't know what it is.
One Life to Live is a soap opera. I don't understand what a setting on your TV makes your movie look like a soap opera.
It does.
Is it because you're trying to do high definition with something that is made with like 4 pixels?
If you have a modern TV, you could adjust the settings like sports mode, dynamic, movie mode. Like they have different settings.
This is the start of B2B. Eventually, your TV will be
pretty much. But watching, especially when you see that dude from Little House on the Prairie, you do get the sense that it's like some TV show from the 80s, which, I mean, ostensibly, it's very similar to what it is.
It's like low quality video. They were not spending money on film. It was definitely
it was video. It was not video. It was film.
I'm not sure if that's true. It seems like we got $25. We're going to use the backlot at Warner Brothers, and away we go.
Now, you say, I think it's the backlot at Universal.
I Googled it.
Is it Warner Brothers?
Last year, when I was going to Cruel World Festival, we got in the day before, so we did a tour of Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I was like, this is Warner Brothers.
Sweet Lord. Why don't we jump
with no effort? Usually they'll like put some cars on the street, paint it a little bit different. It couldn't be more nondescript. Like I was with the giant big curbs. This was clearly like the little trams were going to go by and they were going to point out. and this was filmed here, and this was filmed there. You know what? Just skip Warner Brothers
Did they
Studios.
mention here's where Deadly Friend was filmed? That hit.
Here's where Deadly Friend was filmed. This is where, I mean, come on.
We thought this was a neighborhood of mansions, but the vicious wife beater lives next door. Child molester
mansion.
lives next door, and the crazy woman with the shotgun lives across the street. So it's really
an idea. Small town America. See, this is like all the John Hughes films. Everyone in the greater Chicago area lives in giant mansions. Everyone in small town America lives in these 2-story giant homes. This is real life. These are real Americans.
I was watching Weird Science, and the house that they spend all their time in is literally a mansion. Like it's a gigantic, it is freaking huge. Like there's a bar in it. Like literally, it's so big. It's like
there's back a bar, and watch it. There's a mausoleum, there's a chapel, there's whatever 100%. You need. There's a secret tunnel to hell. It's barbarian. It's all of the above.
It's covering all the bases. Why don't we jump right into the highlights? Aaron, what you got?
The only highlight is the Dario Argento freak out, where Sister Bot, the fembot, basically takes a basketball and pops Throw Mama from the train's head, and junk flies everywhere. And then she runs around like she's short-circuited, like Total Recall, but the old lady pops her head off like she's a fish. I don't think that happens with humans, but
it's a little bit of an overreaction.
Decapitated a lot of people.
A little bit of an overreaction on Robo Girl's part. Well, okay, we have to talk. So the dude, the nerdy guy, comes to town with this crazy robot. Within 5 minutes, he meets a new friend in the neighborhood, the guy delivering the newspapers. And then 5 minutes
after that, he meets all the 30-year-old bullies.
The 30-year-old bikers, right?
The 30-year-old bikers. And they see a robot, but bullying is more important. You would think they would have just gotten their pick-em-up truck and stolen the robot and then punched that little kid. Because I remember him crying a lot in Little House on the Prairie. Or maybe that was the other jackass brother. Melissa Gilbert's brother.
Right, absolutely. The thing about it is, then he also meets the hot chick next door. So now the 3 of them are hanging out. The 4 of them, because they also have the crazy robot who's totally autonomous, just kind of roams around doing his own thing.
It's chaotic evil is what it is.
It's totally benign. Although he fights off the bully. The robot fights off the bully by grabbing his junk and squeezing him.
I assume that was some kind of programming because, it's a robot, so I suppose he could have just pulled that junk off. So somehow they know just how much to squeeze there.
Just the right amount of squeezing. No question.
That makes me think that Little House on the Prairie and him did some experiments.
They must have. Well, he said he built it his own self, so what the heck? Early, when we first meet the robot, there's like what is he? He's a carjacker. Someone breaks into their car to steal the purse. And then a crazy robot hand comes and goes, and strangles the guy temporarily. He lets him go.
Just a warning strangulation.
A warning strangulation. So when they try to do a trick or treat.
I'm sorry. How did that monster thing get all the way up into the front seat?
It didn't. He was in the back seat, and you just see the hand come through between the seats to get the guy.
How very convenient that the carjacker is opening the back seat. You would think they usually check the front.
The carjacker goes through the front, hears a noise in the back seat, and then the hand comes in between and grabs him.
How long is this telescoping hand? 50
He's a robot.
It just keeps going?
Just keeps going. After like the Energizer Bunny. No question. Later, the robot is destroyed because they try to do a trick or treat on the psycho across the road, and she guns it down with a shotgun, destroying it. He's very upset. There's no attempt to rebuild the robot, though, at that point.
They just threw it in the trash in the alley.
Threw it in the dumpster. And then that night...
And then he just gave up on his university career at that point.
He's still taking classes, but early on, he was like teaching the classes occasionally as well. So yeah, he's like Doogie Howser or something. He's a super genius at a young age. I think we're supposed to think.
Right.
So
Right.
good grief.
Yeah, I mean the lady already pulled a shotgun out, so yeah,
Yes.
let's be funny.
You're right. Let's pull a trick on the lady with the shotgun.
It's like kind of a Sandlot situation. The Sandlot or all those movies where, except I don't think it was a dog in the Sandlot, not an old throw mommy Goonie lady with a
Yes.
shotgun.
100%. 100%. Well, it's the weird thing. In the Sandlot, they're just trying to play baseball in the lot that happens to be next to where the giant dog lives. Here, they're like, she's got a freaking chain link fence around her yard with a padlock.
It's padlocked.
Yes.
That's a sign that says, go away. Leave me
Yes.
alone.
On the outside of the gate. So is she just trapped in there? Did they free her from her imprisonment?
She doesn't want to be free. She don't want to be free.
Clearly. So
yeah.
later.
Is this elder abuse? What are you saying?
Yes,
Was that
that's
even
what I'm
a
saying.
thing back in the day?
House arrest. It wasn't even a thing back. It did not exist. You were allowed to beat the elderly. It was encouraged, in fact.
It was family business. It was just family business.
Don't ask those questions. So when Christy Swanson gets knocked down the stairs by her drunken, abusive, and I think we're supposed to think sexually abusive father. Is that correct?
Yeah. He's creeping over the bed.
Well, and this reminds me, there were multiple bizarre, unmotivated nightmare sequences in this movie that had nothing to do with anything.
By both kids.
Yes.
For no apparent reason. I thought I'm like, are these psychic messages your robot lover is telling you, or what?
There's a reason why, and we're going to talk about it later. This movie is off the rails already. So she falls down the stairs and is essentially brain dead. They're like, okay, well, we're going to pull the plug at 10 o'clock tonight. Homie, the robot man, is like, go ahead, Aaron.
First of all, the next door neighbor daughter, who the mother has seen abused multiple times.
Physical bruises,
bloody noses, doesn't say anything to the police.
She says something to the girl. She's like, hey, we should do something about this.
After she rolls up dead, no one puts it together that it was the crazy abusive dad.
She says to the girl, hey, we should really do something about this. The girl goes, hey, I know, but he's my dad. He's my only dad.
And then you just go, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going about my business.
It was the 80s. It was encouraged. Mind your own biz. So he comes up with a plan to take the microchip that used to be in BB, the robot, and install it in her brain because in college he's taking robotics and neurosurgery. So that's important. That's an interesting combination of classes as well. So good grief.
So the single microchip, if you just stick it on the brain, you just shove it in there.
Correct.
Will then reconnect broken things and erase your memory, at least for a while. And then, so she becomes BB until she heals enough to become her again.
She's brain dead. She is literally brain dead. So they put this microchip with these kind of spikes in it into her brain, which I guess does like kind of little like shocks in the brain to make the body start doing stuff.
Battery? You got some Duracells in there?
No explanation.
What is power? I mean, I can pull my a chip out of my computer right now, which I guarantee you is 10,000 times more powerful than whatever the hell that was.
Correct.
And if I shove it in my brain, besides an infection and brain damage,
that's about all you get.
Turn me rogue on a killing spree.
100%. 100%. So
she is neither herself nor is she BB, because neither one of them act like a crazy person.
It's supposed to be BB's personality, is what it's supposed to be. And you've seen little flashes again, the grabbing of the nuts of the bully earlier in the movie. But you're right. There's nothing here that kind of suggests I'm a cold-blooded killer. Now I'm going house to house murdering people.
So if it's BB,
yes,
why does it not seem to recognize him?
The personality, and I wonder if this is a Kristy Swanson acting issue, because she was only 16 and this is like her first like starring role as as an actress.
And
but
she
you're
was
right.
fine. She was enjoyable.
Well, if she had truly been BB's personality, I think there would have been kind of a more playful quality. And frankly, she should have constantly been like, which she does not.
One of the first things I wrote down is like, why does that thing chatter nonstop? Turn that shit off. That was a choice.
Stop. Well, it's the voice of Roger Rabbit who's doing it for some reason.
That doesn't make it better.
It doesn't make it better.
Like It's Alive, this super tech thing has shitty vision. Why does everything have shitty vision?
It's got like robot vision. Is
that a thing? Is that like monster vision? What is that?
It's like it is 100% like monster vision.
But it had robot vision even when it was looking through her own eyeballs.
Correct. Well, I think towards
did they pluck those out? Pluck them out.
Pluck them out. Towards the end, we're supposed to think that now, like you suggested, now it's the real girl starting to pop out. Like the vision starts going back to when it's normal. It's supposed to be like, oh, I'm coming back to life. It's supposed to be something, I guess.
So you get a can opener and then you pop that chip out. The other thing is later on, he's trying to use that freaking remote control that clearly didn't work on the robot, but is now working on the fembot. And so when he flips the switch, is she dead again?
I wrote that down. You're right. So he's done. Okay, we have to go back. His plan is to steal the corpse, perform the surgery.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be a corpse. But they got their times confused.
Right. Now, oh God, we got to go back even further. So to sneak out, he drugs his mother, his single mom, and like she doesn't just get tired. She just like literally just drops over, like she's been hit with a poison dart or something. Just drops over, and it made no sense. He could have just said, "Oh, I'm going to hang out with Billy tonight. We're going to be over at their house." So ridiculous.
Peace. Going to the movies. Whatever.
Go to the movies.
Go to the movies and go and spend the night over there.
100%. But no. I've got to literally drug my mother to get out of the house. And when they return, they think she's dead. They think they overdosed the mom. Yeah. I was like, oh my God.
I mean, he was a little upset that he thought maybe he'd killed his mom.
Yes.
But not the appropriate amount of upset.
No. Well, and it turned out she's okay. Although I'm sure now she has a meth addict. She has an addiction to pills.
She and Michael Jackson chilling.
100% propofol. So you're right. They get there late. They steal the corpse. They do the surgery and they hide the body. But you're right. There's a remote, like the same remote that he had for BB, which is like he used just to like turn it on or turn it off. So he turns it on. Then presumably he says like, "Oh, you're breathing. Now you're alive." So if he hits it again, it should go back to just being dead and a rotting corpse in the tool shed.
Yeah, it's like kind of a Frankenhooker situation.
100%. 100%. Well, and you saw her face is like
was
getting
a
all
more
blue.
Enjoyable movie. Yes,
it was something.
Her face was blue. She had wild eyes, and quite frankly, like she was one of my favorite characters in this film, especially as the fembot.
Well, and then she kind of walks around like this.
Yeah, I'm like, why are her fingers fused like she's Spock? And then I realized that she's supposed to be B2B.
It's not B2B, by the way. BB.
BB.
BB. So
if you're going to make a female robot, let me just ask you this: as a young child, would it have looked like a tank, or would you have made it more feminine?
the thing about it is that you can't even now. What is it? Boston Dynamics. They have like
Yes.
legs and stuff that you can walk around on.
Oh,
I think it's
they had one of those fucking dogs at my work at lunchtime running across the field.
Really?
Like, Rise of the Machines!
It's 100% Rising Machines. It's hard to.
I wanted to kill it. My first instinct was kill it.
Kill
This must
it.
die. This must die.
The thing about it is, it's hard to have a robot walk on two legs because of balance issues. It's much easier just to give it wheels or tank treads or something along those lines, especially in '86 or whenever this movie came out. But that's neither here nor there. So she's now a robot, but has a totally different personality than BB. Like you said,
Or the girl.
Or the girl. Right. She's basically like a silent, like a zombie almost, walking around. And is now presumably just on the warpath.
Yeah,
just
she
going
is
door
a
to door.
ghoul. She is literally a ghoul, and sometimes he can control her, but mostly not. But there was not long-range thinking. She's just going to sleep in my shed.
Forever?
She's never going to go to the bathroom. I'm never going to feed her, and I'm just going to leave her alone.
Right. You never see food or water. There's not a big pile of shit in the tool shed or anything. He doesn't have to wipe her bottom. There's, you know what I'm saying?
The thing doesn't know who he is. The thing is terrified, so it's on a killing spree.
And I guess remembers the father being a bad dude.
That's
even
the
though
only thing she remembers.
Right, because BB wouldn't have known that. BB wouldn't have any reference to that.
So we have this tangled logic.
It's a tangled logic, 100%. So she goes, kills that dude, and now she's got super strength, by the way, which makes zero sense. Why would she have super strength with one little crazy microchip?
I did write that down. She's the Winter Soldier. So basically, 100%. And then he covers up the murder? Why would you take it out of the fire and then put it in a coal chute?
Toss his ass into the fire.
Literally, he dragged old Freddy Krueger out of the furnace, and the furnace was like right out of the bad seed, which 100%. Throw Mom on the Train was literally watching.
Yes.
And who is really the bad seed? Is it the girl, or is it Little House on the Prairie?
Is it the mad scientist? That's the question. Well, and that's the thing. This house that the girl lived in was clearly like an old-timey house because they had an old-timey furnace and a huge coal area. Right? That's where they hid the body.
Kids, let me just tell you. We don't have coal in California. No one's burning coal. There are no coal mines in California. We don't heat with coal. This isn't like Kentucky. It is like thousands of miles away to get some coal. In fact, I was at a barbecue once, and some of the homies had gone to get firewood at Home Depot and found a bag of coal. I said, "What do you mean coal?" I'm like, coal? Anthracite? And he handed me a big old chunk. And we all passed it around like it was a diamond. What is this strange material? So no, there's not like 50 pounds of coal in this old basement in Los Angeles.
And it was more than 50 pounds. It was like hundreds of pounds because they pulls the, she breaks the dad's neck, tosses his head into the furnace where it cooks for a while. And then when he comes, he goes, oh shit, he takes the body, throws it in with literally a wall of coal and buries it in there, like the hands like sticking out. He kind of shoves it back in there. Cops find it anyway. So who the hell knows?
I was not born in like 1920. I don't know what these weird burning structures in people's basements. One, I've never lived in a house with a basement nor an attic. But I think in some parts of the country, you burned your trash. So you had incinerators, you had drop chutes. But I don't know. Is this a boiler? What the hell is it? And why is there coal? And why is there coal?
And why is there coal? I mean, this is the 80s. This is the 1880s.
This is the 1880s. It is back at Little House on the Prairie, but pop out a coal mine.
Clearly.
He was a coal miner's dad.
Coal miners, father. Sweet Jesus. And then later she goes to the old woman across the street and attacks her as well. And it ends, as we said, in the because earlier in the movie, the four the four kids are playing basketball. They give a ball to BB. I don't know how you play basketball with BB. First of all, I guess he can set screens or something. And they put the ball in his hand and he just flings it across the street into the yard because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Because he's a dick.
Because he's a dick. And the old woman takes the ball and is like, F off, I'm keeping this. So I guess game over. Oh, well.
I mean, I love how that is like a theme since the dawn of time.
Yes.
There's always a crabby neighbor that doesn't want you on their property. And if anything lands there, be it a 5-year-old or a basketball, you ain't getting it back.
100%. I'm keeping this child. Keeping it.
It's a trope since the dawn of time.
So she goes there. I mean, she doesn't go there for the basketball because, again, when she was BB, she was brutally murdered by the woman in her shotgun. So I guess she's there for revenge, but she uses the basketball that's there as her method of death.
Which honestly is the highlight of the whole film.
100%.
If there was more extreme violence, extreme creative violence, and just a touch of logic. I mean, we've all of a sudden we went into an Argento film.
Yes.
I'm thinking Wes Anderson was having a couple of pops with a couple of buddies. They threw on some Argento and they're like, yeah, this is what this needs.
Absolutely.
The Dario 100%. Touch.
It 100% needs the Dario touch. But so she is now running around. The cops are chasing her because they see her.
But I love how she runs with like flailing arms. No human runs with their arms like this. It's like a fake run through town.
She's BB. That's how BB. I don't know. Is that what it is?
BB was a robot. There's not this fluid arm flapping like she's trying to take off.
Correct. So then the biker shows up again, and she's about to kill him, and the dude, Littlehouse, runs up and goes, "No, stop!" And she goes, "Baby," and throws the body. Baby! It's the first time you hear her crazy voice.
Because during times of intense stress, I like to just shout out my own name, Aaron.
100%. So the cops are all about to gun her down, and that's when she starts to go back and forth, where it's like, oh, my brain is starting to come back, but then of course the crazy robot runs at the chief of police, who accidentally kills her, and then the most inexplicable ending in the history of all cinema, someone might argue. Homie goes back to the morgue to steal her corpse yet again. And this time, the body grabs him by the throat and he's like, ah! And like her face sloughs off and it's a weird robot face. And her skin on her arms peels back and it's weird like robot arms. Makes no sense. And then you hear, baby! And then crack or something along those lines. And that's how it ends.
I think this is just revealing his deep inner desires, which is to F a dead robot.
100%. To F a dead robot. Sweet Jesus.
I mean, did we need this? They were trying to do some kind of Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like the Nightmare Before Elm Street.
The prequel. 100%.
The prequel. I'm like...
It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And
it would have been more fun if that's what really happened. Because for sure we've seen shitty movies where it sloughs off and whatever the real creature is lying underneath there.
100%.
But I'm like, if he came up with that technology, then he really should be at a bigger university.
No question. If I just plant this microchip, then it'll turn your entire body into a robot, and then a robot will grow inside of you. Is that
that's good science? That's good science.
Just good science. What? You got anything else? Should we go behind the scenes?
There ain't nothing else. The best part is the Argento death scene and throw mama from the train existing and throw mama from the train watching the bad scene, which is one of my favorite horror movies. What would you give me for a basket full of kisses?
100%. Let's talk about behind the scenes, shall we?
Let's.
Director
now,
Wes
Craven was drinking a lot, right? Or what was happening in this?
All your questions will be answered. Here we go. Director Wes Craven and screenwriter Bruce Joel Rubin's original version for the film was a PG-rated supernatural science fiction thriller with the primary focus being on the macabre love story between Paul and Samantha. Okay? There was a secondary focus on the adults around them and how the monsters are truly...
I'm raising my hand. Which was the supernatural part?
Okay, this is their original idea. Right. The original idea. And then it was also going to focus on how the adults around them are really the monsters. That was their original plan. It was meant, again, PG rated is what they were going for. Wes Craven had seen Starman, which was John Carpenter's kind of family-friendly science fiction movie. And he's like, I want to do something like that because...
I saw that like as a child.
Jeff Bridges. Yeah. He wanted to do something to show like, I'm not just the resident gore master. I can do other kind of genres and other kinds of things.
I can do much shittier things. That's what he wanted to prove.
And what happened is the audiences did not respond to his vision. Like test audiences watched it and because they saw it's Wes Craven, they thought they were supposed to be getting Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, and sadly they're getting this PG love story. Basically what it is. So
maybe you should have done a Richard Bachman situation.
Perhaps.
Nobody would gonna see it.
So the president of Warner Brothers stepped in and demanded that they add 6 additional gore scenes, each bloodier than the last, which is also how you get the weird random nightmare scenes that pop up for no reason, have nothing to do with anything.
No reason.
The president of the studio wrote the final scene where they're in the morgue and she becomes a robot. And they all hated the idea, but he's the president of the studio. So they had to just bite their tongue and just do what they wanted to do.
Let's be straight.
Please.
We could have done the nightmare scenes better because really he is dealing with a lot of huge issues. So nightmares would be appropriate. It's just they slapped together some bullshit.
And they cut down all of the other characters are really kind of pared down. Like the president of the university or whatever it is, the head of the department had a bigger role. The chief of police had a much bigger role. They cut him to basically nothing. And this movie. So it becomes a crazy hodgepodge of things going on at the same time. So.
Kevin, who came up with the idea of us reviewing this movie? Explain, Lucy.
Me. I told you I saw this 100 years ago, and I remember thinking it was kind of interesting. And then they had the 100 shocking movie moments, the basketball scene. I'm like, well, we have to discuss that.
That's the best part. That's the best part.
It's
Chris,
go ahead.
It came out of nowhere.
Yes.
Because there's nothing that good in the rest of the movie.
Well, the movie is based upon a book that was just called Friend. The name of the book was called Friend that came out just
and this thing wasn't even his friend. It didn't listen. Obviously, he's a shitty programmer because if you're going to build a giant monster robot, it should probably listen to you.
I agree. 100%. They actually, when they were making the movie, they were trying to come up with a name for it. And at one point, it was just going to be called Friend, like the book. And they added Deadly Friend to let you know, no, this is a scary movie. It's scary.
Yeah. It all comes down to aliens and robots are all bad. So stop.
100%. I think we can all agree on this.
Again, always a warning about AI from Hollywood, but Congress is doing nothing. Just you wait. There's going to be Elon Musk robot heads everywhere.
Let's see. Wes Craven wasn't attracted to the story of Deadly Friend because Samantha goes on a killing spree when she's revived as an undead monster. Craven was much more interested in exploring the adults around her, all of whom seemed to be monsters in human skin.
Which they could have done that, but he didn't do that either. There's a lot of
do that. They cut it out. They cut it out. They made him cut it out.
The only monster, I mean, where was Aaron? Because I could have told them what to do.
Again, you could have done it. You were around.
Done it. They only made the. I mean, the professor could have been at the university. Could have been pressuring him. His mom could have been totally checked out. I mean, there's a lot of darker things they could have left in there, and still had gore. And still had gore.
So you're not letting him off the hook at all. He's responsible.
No, he is responsible. He is Wes Craven.
He is Wes Craven. According to Wes Craven,
you put your name on it, like a good old M. Night. The buck stops there.
It's true.
I mean, you have restrictions. That's fine, but you got to handle it. You can't be like, they made me make some trash. You know it was trash before that. That's why nobody liked it. So I want to know, did they like this better? What did the test audience say now?
Wes Craven says that the film had 7 or 8 producers and each had their own idea of what the film should be like.
So is he at the end of his career at this point where he has no control over anything? Because that's what it sounds like.
The issue is like we said,
that the producer's off the set.
Up to this point, he was primarily known for these kind of low-budget slasher-type films.
Right.
And he wanted to, just like John Carpenter at the same time, they both kind of wanted to move into studio work, where it's much bigger budget, much more acclaim.
I'm sorry, was this a bigger budget? Is that what they're saying?
Bigger budget than some of his earlier things.
I think the whole budget went to the exploding throw mama from the train.
100%. Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
Lay it on me, brother.
Directed by Wes Craven. You know him for such things as A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I love
Scream.
That's all right.
New Nightmare. The People Under the Stairs.
That was all right.
Etc., etc. All sorts of good stuff. All right. And not so good stuff, if you know what I'm saying.
And some not so good stuff. Well, just like John Carpenter with space vampires. So there you go.
Let's see. The cast. 100%. Cast Matthew Laborto, and I'm sure I'm butchering his last name.
Laborto? I think his last name is like French. That sounds like French for I'm having an abortion. I think it's Labrato or something.
Oh, maybe that's what it's Labrato. That makes a hell of a lot more sense than my pronunciation. You know him from such things. He was Albert Quinn Ingalls in 88 episodes of Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, so he's an Ingalls.
He's an Ingalls. He's an adopted Ingalls, I think.
He's an adopted Ingalls, and then Melissa Gilbert's brother was Nellie's little brother.
Right. That's what it is. Well, what's interesting about this is, as you know, Melissa Gilbert and her brother were both adopted. So they're actually not related to each other or to their parents by blood.
Oh, I did not know. That's fascinating.
And to make it even more interesting is this dude, Albert Quinn Ingalls, is also adopted in real life. And so is his brother and his sister. So they're not related.
Shoved into showbiz.
They're all shoved into
showbiz. Do crazy
showbiz.
Parents just show up at the orphanages looking for kids with star quality, and then they just hand them over to Hollywood?
Yes, that's exactly what they do. You know him from Deadly Friend. The fact that it goes directly from Little House to Deadly Friend lets you know how his acting career went. Although
he thought this was his breakout role.
But the thing is, he actually does a lot of voiceover work to this day.
And he actually looks better right now. I saw a picture of him right now. He looks just like a bigger Little House on the Prairie. He's morphed into a regular looking person. But
it doesn't matter because he was in 180 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Like, he does a lot of voiceover work, so good on him.
Good for him.
Still handling his biz. Let's see. Christy Swanson. Christy Swanson played Samantha.
Do I know
You
her?
she was been in quite a few things. She was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. She was the original
Okay.
Buffy. She was in one scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay,
She was
we went
in
from the original Buffy to one scene in Ferris Bueller.
she was in the Flowers in the Attic movie playing Kathy.
Shit, that was a movie? You got
Yep.
brothers and sisters getting it on? Was
They
that
kind
on
of-
Cinemax?
They did not mention that. They cut out all that stuff.
They kind of yada yada over that?
100%. And she was in Dude, Where's My Car in 2000.
Oh
So she did
shit!
a few
I
things.
I walked out of that.
No,
I have
like-
never walked out. I didn't walk out of Zombie, but I walked out of Dude, Where's My Car and just moved into the next theater. That was the worst.
Christy Swanson was a Stone Cold Fox back in the 80s into the 90s. So
right.
there you go. I think she's a crazy right winger, though. So prepare yourself. It's very upsetting.
Right.
She was in a play about Obama with Dean Cain. This is not a joke. This is true.
Oh.
Anywho,
Oh. I hope she played Obama. That's all. That's my only hope.
she was, let me see, Anne Ramsey played the evil neighbor Elvira. You know her from such things as The Goonies, playing Mama Fratelli.
Yeah.
She was Mama in Throw Mama from the Train, which when that movie came out, I swear to God, I saw it 400 times. It was on all the time.
It was huge. It was huge.
It
was
was
the
huge.
remake of the Alfred Hitchcock.
Of Strangers on a Train, right?
Yeah.
And it's not very good, really. In reality, it's a lesser Billy Crystal vehicle. If
Yeah.
I have to be
You
honest,
don't want to think of Billy Crystal trying to murder people.
You don't typically. She was in Scrooged with Bill Murray as Woman in Shelter, and she was in Any Which Way You Can with Clint Eastwood. She's actually in a ton of things.
A lesser Any Which Way.
I always tell people Clint Eastwood's biggest box office was Any Which Way But Loose. More than anything else he ever did.
Lose,
100%.
you turn me, baby. There's no excuse. R.I.P. Eddie Rabbit.
Even though it had a lot of Sandra Lock in it, it was very successful.
She was the worst. She was the worst.
Charles Fleischer played the voice of BB.
Was there a poor small person trapped inside the giant, like a refrigerator box?
Could be. You know Charles Fleischer because he was the voice of Roger Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He was also in Zodiac, Nightmare on Elm Street, Back to the Future Part 2. I remember he had a big part in Demon Knight as well before he gets killed by the demons. So,
All
sorts
right.
of stuff. Is there anybody else you want to know about?
Not a
from this movie?
goddamn one.
Fair enough. Let's talk
Although I
about.
do want to say that there is a lot of emphasis right now on Little House on the Prairie. So I guess it is good you have chosen this at this time. There's all kinds of weird reunions.
Yep.
I watched Crazy Nelly roll by with Melissa Gilbert. It's like a big thing. But honest to God, did you enjoy Little House on the Prairie?
You know what? I received the complete series as a gift, I don't know, 15 years ago. And I don't watch it regularly, but I find it kind of soothing to watch it. You know what I mean? It's like you pop on an episode and there's Pa doing his shit. I kind of enjoy it. I don't know. Am I crazy?
Maybe. I used to do that with Gilmore Girls. That was soothing. I just put it on in the background. But honestly, because I was alive during the heyday of Little House,
Yep.
I found Pa a little scary, and quite frankly, I thought Laura was kind of a bitch. So
100%.
whenever Nellie got turned loose, I would just laugh. I'm like, cry, Laura, cry.
When we were in Big Bear a couple weeks ago, and it was on TV, so we were watching an episode, and there's a scene because it's a one-room schoolhouse.
Right.
There's Laura, and she's got a crush on this dude who looks like he's about 30, one of the other students, and he's interested in Laura's older sister, and he writes like the name on the side of the tree or whatever it is.
Right.
And even that was too big. It's like, bro, I mean, I understand there's not a lot of wide selection here in town, but Please.
You say it right there. These are your choices. They're all at
This
school,
is it.
or they're even too dumb to go to school because
Good
you didn't
grief.
have a lot of options. And of course, going to school was not a requirement.
Not a requirement. Work on the farm.
When I first started teaching, there was literally a job in one of these outlying areas that would have been a one-room schoolhouse.
That's called.
I don't unless you have perfect students. How do you work with each grade level? It's like you get some people going and then you go on to the next group. The minute I'd move away, my students would be like, Miss.
Well, you hope.
So by the time I get to the last group, the bell is rung for the day.
It's called differentiation, Aaron. Okay. All the good
Is that what it
teachers
is? Yeah.
Let's talk about the rating, shall we? Deadly Friend currently has 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what the audience gave it?
15.
38. Which is not great by any stretch of the imagination. Let's look at the top critics, shall we? Nick Shager from the AV Club says, to satisfy horror fans, the filmmaker embellishes his tale with jolt-scaring dream sequences and plentiful bloodshed.
Jolt? No jolt.
As well as an unforgettable, over-the-top murder scene involving a basketball and a human head. Boom. They loved it.
Yeah.
Loved
Joe
it
Bob
enough.
says, check it out. It's just like a classic Joe Bob, where everything is, it's a horrible movie. The writers and producers should be shot. Joe Bob says, check it out.
Dave Kerr of the Chicago Tribune says, this lunatic plot is rendered in a flat, bland, absolutely deadpan style that suggests a particularly impoverished sitcom from the 50s. He knows. What is your rating, Aaron, on Deadly Friend?
I'm going to give it 2 I don't give a F's out of 5. I'm not for banning books, read whatever you want to read, but I think we can all agree that this should just be burned and all copies burned and salt the earth where you throw the trash.
Interesting.
It's time to take out the trash.
I don't disagree. Maybe a 2.5 exploding heads via basketball.
That's it.
Out of 5. I was going to say
that's
out of 10.
Why I gave it a 2.
Right.
My recommendation is just go to YouTube and just try to find that one scene of Throw Mama from the Train's head exploding and flopping like a trout on the pier. And that's all you need to see. The end.
That's it. No, it's really, that scene's ridiculous. The drugging of Mom is wildly ridiculous. Like, what in the hell is happening?
I like that a sophomore is able to just go to the university and just open up the cabinets full of drugs.
Yes, help yourself.
Yeah.
No, you're right. There's no scene where they're stealing the drugs to slip in Mom's drink. He just had it. Yada yada.
He's a scout. Be prepared.
100%. And friendly robot becomes psycho cyborg and roaming the streets. So no, if you're flipping, maybe watch a few minutes, but if you catch it at the wrong time, you're going to be disappointed.
The wrong time being like the beginning or
the end,
halfway through,
the middle,
or the end. Just go right to the little Argento Classico. That's all
Pretty
you need.
much.
A little snippet and be on your way.
Any last thoughts?
You've been warned.
You've been warned. It's not a 1 star. It's not a total. It's not like, you know what? If someone suggests it, smack them. It's not that level. It's just kind of worthless. Is really what it is. It's kind of bland.
If you're on a dating app and they list this as one of their childhood favorite friends, swipe on by
and report them to the authorities.
As I've told you many times, I once had a conversation with a dude on a dating app who told me Titanic was his all-time favorite movie. And I said, I thought he was joking. And when he insisted that is correct, I blocked him. There we go.
That seems like a bit of an overreaction, Aaron.
He's clearly either has one bad taste, he's stupid, Or he's just saying that because he thinks that's what girls would like to hear.
Okay, fair enough. And you blocked him. And you
And I
reported it to the
blocked him.
authorities. Interesting. Sweet
I
Lord.
called his work. I burned his house down.
You doxed him on social media. 100%.
Boom.
You had to, scorch the earth. So, thank you very much. Go to our page across social media: Facebook, X, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. You can watch us on YouTube, for
Are
goodness
you on
sake.
Blue Sky?
I am on Blue. You knew I was on Blue Sky. I'm the one. What else? You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finest podcasts are available. So like, share, write, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I am on pardon me. I am on Artsy. I am on First Dibs. I am on the Gram, the Cult of Aaron. I am Don't Feed the Pigeon. Buy some art. You're allowed to message me a direct message as long as it's to buy art. Don't ask me anything. Or I will not answer.
Don't send her pictures. She's not down with that.
Pictures.
She ain't down with that.
No es bueno.
Now, as you know, from time to time, I like to share people's thoughts and feelings based upon our own social media posts. Let's see what they have to say. Talking about our movie Species that we did a few weeks ago.
Mother of pearl.
Jinja Ninja Studios says, underrated sci-fi flick. Vivid memories of going to the cinema to see this as a strapping 15-year-old. So there you go. Vivid memories.
I never understood what that means. They're strapping heat, or does that mean he had a boner during the hot tub scenes? I'm not sure what that means.
Either way. The King of All Heroes says, what that?
King of All Heroes. I like, that's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement. All he said was, what that? So there that is the question.
True. True.
Next, for show. Next week, we are doing the horror classic, The Devil's Reign. Aaron's been begging us to do this, starring Ernest Borgnine, William Shatner, John Travolta in a very small role, Tom Skerritt. The list goes on and on, for God's sakes. Now, what inspired you to suggest this one, Aaron?
I remember seeing it as a little kid on TV. It was like, I don't know how old this is, but it's old enough that even when I was a little kid, it had made it to TV. And I had gone, believe this or not, I had gone to the theater to see the William Shatner documentary.
Really?
93. He looks great for 93.
Yeah, he's doing well. This was in a fallow period of Shatner's acting career. After
he said after
series.
Star Trek, he was living in a truck.
Yes. He was just taking whatever roles he could get. Other actors in this movie include Eddie Albert from Green Acres. Anton LaVey is also in this. So there you go.
Holy shit. I'm so excited. I remember being a little traumatized at the end because there's a lot of melty crayon people at the end.
A lot of melty crayon people. You're recalling correctly. You can watch this on AMC.
It was like on KTLA or something coming out on one of those independent channels.
Absolutely. You can watch this on AMC Plus, Roku, Tubi, Shudder, Pluto TV, Shout Factory, Plex.
You need a zinc tablet or something? What happened?
You kind of gave me whatever you have.
There?
So check that out. Send in any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. So thank you very much, and be well.
And if you happen to be in Bakersfield, I'm going to have some art over at the Bakersfield Museum of Art. You should buy it. I'm asking $400 a picture, so let's get on it. Come on, people. Show the love.